When describing any melody, it's really important to remember what parameters, what aspects you've got to mention. So I'll take you through the list. So first of all, you need to mention the movement. How does it move? Is it conjunct or disjunct? Are there steps or are there leaps? Then you mention the range of the melody. So the range is the difference between the top and the bottom note and how many notes there are in between. And you describe that as an interval. So you might have a range of an octave or 2 octaves. The shape of the melody, is it ascending or is it descending? Does it follow an arc shape or is it the opposite of that? So what is the shape? The phrasing, so most melodies will be like sentences in a phrase. So are there regular length phrases or are they irregular length, and how long are they? If the melody has words, then you talk about the word setting, and that's whether the words are syllabic or melismatic, and there might be word painting as well. And after that, you can mention any devices, specific melodic devices that are used, and these might be scales, arpeggios, sequences, ornamentation, things like that. So when describing the melody of Bach's Brandenburg Concerto No. 5, it's important to remember that it's a fugue. Remember, a fugue is a structure where you've got a main subject, and then you'll have real and tonal answers of that subject with counter subjects, counter melodies underneath. So when we're describing the melody, the best place to start is the main subject, because that is the melody that most of the rest of the piece is based on. So let's have a look at that subject. So the main subject of Bach's piece goes like this. So going through our list of parameters earlier, we start with movement. You can see the movement, it starts with a big leap up and then down, a leap of a fourth, a perfect fourth. That's the first leap. But after that, it's mostly conjunct. Leap here, and then conjunct. So it's mostly conjunct with a couple of leaps in it. That's how I'd describe that. Next, the range. Well, the highest note is a D and the lowest note is a C sharp. So it's an interval of a ninth. Okay, so that's the interval, the range. In terms of the shape, it's hard to say much because there isn't anything particularly distinctive. It goes up and down and then kind of up and down and then down and up. So it's not really doing anything particularly distinctive, so not a lot to say. In terms of the phrasing, the main subject consists of a 4-bar phrase, and that's important because it's quite typical of music from this era. You'd have 4-bar phrases and they'd be regular length. The word setting, well, there are no words, so nothing to say here, it's not applicable. So then melodic devices, the first thing to say really is that the main subject is a motif. A motif is a few notes which is used again and again throughout a piece. And here you'll recognize this, particularly the first few notes of this melody are used all the way through the piece, and you'll hear it coming up again and again. Now there are a number of melodic devices used in the piece, and I'll just list them here. We've got passage work, which is scalic movement, arpeggios, we've got sequences, and ornamentation. So let's have a look at those in further detail. So first of all, here's an example of passage work. It's here in the harpsichord, bar 15 to 16. We can see this very rapid semi-quaver run. Okay, so we've got, this is known as passage work, these fast scales. Okay, that's a melodic device. The next melodic device we've got is a sequence, and this is where you've got a melodic phrase which will be repeated a step higher and a step higher, or lower and lower. So we've got an ascending sequence here at bar 72, and all of the instruments are involved. We've got the harpsichord playing this, then up a step, then up a step. Okay, so it's taking that phrase and going up a step, up a step. So it's an ascending sequence. We've also got lots and lots of ornamentation, which is typical of music from the Baroque era. We've got appoggiaturas. An appoggiatura is an added grace note that attaches to one of the notes of the melody. And that melody note will fit with the chord underneath it. The grace note, though, the appoggiatura, will not be a chord note. It will be a repeated note from the note before. I'll give you an example. So we've got this here, we've got the melody. Okay, taking the first part of that melody, the first two bars, it's F sharp, B, F sharp, and then the appoggiatura is this repeated F sharp. It's a small note that's attached to the G. Okay, if we take out that appoggiatura, this is how it would sound. Okay, and that's the real melody. Now, adding the appoggiatura, it takes a little bit of the value away from the G. It's repeating the F sharp, and the F sharp appoggiatura doesn't actually fit with the chord. So it's important that after a time you resolve it to the G. So, okay, so it's kind of leaning into that G, but it's important you don't stay on the F sharp because it wouldn't fit, it would clash with the chord. So that's why you have to resolve to the G. And then we've got another on the G this time, back to the F sharp. Okay, so that's an appoggiatura, and they're all over this piece. Another ornament is the trill. Trills are rapid alternations between two notes. So you take two notes and you go between them rapidly, okay? Now, we've got trills here in the harpsichord in both hands at the same time in thirds. So it's... Okay, so that's the trill, and it's used in lots of this music, and lots of music from the Baroque era.